Hey, let's start with why did you decide to live in China? Because if I understand, you were born in Canada, and you said,
Yep.
enough of the Great White North.
I mean, Canada is a beautiful country, but you have to understand that when people have ambitions in Canada, especially today, they are met with some hurdles, some government hurdles, and those are very heavy taxation. It's very difficult to run companies depending on what sector. There's compliance issues, there's regulations issues. No matter what sector you're in, you're always faced with a challenge. Here in China, and I know it's going to be hard to believe to some of the viewers, but you can get a company open in pretty much 24 hours. You can get a bank open in about 3 days, and you can start trading and start your business and your dreams and not face with massive, massive challenges.
Yeah, that sort of destroys the Western narrative about this authoritarian, rigid, communist society. That there's no freedom, I guess, inch of your personal life is investigated and exposed. So I take it that's not true.
Well, I've always had a challenge. If somebody can point me in the direction where the social credit score is here in China, I'll pay them $1,000 cash up front if you can send me to that location. Because every time I ask about it here in China, I'm always greeted with a "sorry, what?" and it's kind of a running joke here now. But of course, there are people will have records. I mean, if you've broken the law, or if you have a bad credit rating, or if you've been in, a bad driving record, of course, these records are going to follow you just like in any other country.
Right.
But is there a combined system that is going to ban you? I haven't seen it, but if there is a court case against you in this country and you try to flee, that's where I think you're going to run into some difficulties.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. I call a lot of Western projection, that the United States and Canada are talking about the authoritarian nature
Right.
of Russia or China, and in fact, the abuses are right here. I just saw some legislator in the Netherlands or Belgium got arrested for he was talking about the problems associated with crime and immigration, and they charged him with hate speech. He wasn't making things up. He was describing what was actually going on. And hey, man, we can't talk about reality. So,
it's interesting here in China, there is a complaints line, a line where you can actually call up the government and actually get a real person on the line and complain about stuff, and it will get fixed. So, this whole notion that people can't talk back or say anything here, it's quite wide open. A lot of these Chinese netizens hit the internet when they have an issue and they talk about it. Now, some of them may overstep certain things, but for most part, there's a voice here. Of course, there's a voice here, and it's quite strong. And this is how this country has developed. I mean, it didn't get to be the second largest economy in the world. Questionably, I think it might even be the largest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's now the largest without a doubt. Well, because you've been there now for about 20 years.
So a little bit of history on me. I started coming to China in the late 1990s for import-export business, and did that quite strong. But I was currently living in Monaco, Monte Carlo, for the better part of, let's say, late 1990s to the mid 2015, 16, somewhere around there. And my decision to fully come here was about 6 years ago, permanently here, living, having my own apartment. But for most part, I've been coming back and forth to China for a good 25 years for sure.
So what fascinates me is the transformation of China, in my lifetime. So I was 17 when Nixon went to China in 72. And then it's largely an agricultural society. Literacy rate, it was not real high at the time. And now here we are, 54 years later, and it's an industrial behemoth. But the transformation of the society is what fascinates me, because it's modern. It's like on the cutting edge of technology now. The things we used to like take pride of in America, for example, that we've got the best this or the best that. We don't have the best of a lot of things. And you look at these cities, which are architectural masterpieces. How did that happen?
Hard work, and it continues to be hard work. The Chinese, we've seen on the world stage, is still a developing country. And what I mean by that is it's more of the mindset of the people developing into understanding what their country actually is. When you have a country that had a lot of poverty, which now they've alleviated anywhere from 600 to 800 million people out of poverty, when you have that understanding and you go in such a rapid speed, it takes time for people to catch up. And what I mean by that is I live in a city of 35 million people, Chongqing. You will still see some street vendors pushing their carts up streets of this mega city because this whole new world has been built around them in, maybe the past 10 or 15 or even 20 years. And then also the mindsets is trying to understand growth in companies, how junior managers or even mid-level management tries to understand how they can, manage, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 employees. This takes a lot of time and a lot of development. And here's where the Western countries can really build a bridge with China. They do reach out. They do want, expertise from our countries, Canada, the United States, United Kingdom. Of course, we can see it just looking at Apple. Apple has pretty much its entire iPhone set up here in China, in Shenzhen as well. Now, we may say, well, okay, look at that. The Chinese are taking jobs. Well, not necessarily true. If you're a shareholder of Apple, where do those profits go? Do they go to the guy that's working on the assembly line, which a lot of these are now robotic, but do the profits go to the assembly lines here or the workers here or the management, or do they go to Cupertino, California, to the bottom line of Apple, to the shareholders who embrace billions of dollars of profits? So Westerners get angry because a Chinese person is working hard to make a product that goes to their country, which the profits pretty much stay in the United States of America. And we get angry when some Chinese wants to come over and maybe buy a piece of property in the United States.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. it doesn't make sense. Just out of curiosity, do you use Apple phone or Huawei?
So I do use an Apple phone for, I would say, most social platforms, but there are so many different products over here. Huawei is definitely one, and also Xiaomi is another mobile supplier here. What I like about the Huawei is it's off the grid of the US connection. Mm-hmm. There is no Google Play Store on Huawei. And that's, again, when we hear all these people in the United States and Canada and the UK and Australia saying, man, these Chinese, they want to get on these social media platforms, but they're banned. None of those social media platforms are on Huawei phones. They don't even notice them. We have our own, social media platforms over here. We have Bilibili. We have Douyin, which is the parent company of TikTok. Oh. Many people don't know that. And then we have RedNote, Tuchao. We have so many other platforms. Basically, one-to-one what you have